Hey everyone, Tim Schofield here. And yesterday I just posted my unboxing of the Google Pixel 4a 5G, which I have right here. I can link to that below if you missed it. However, today it's time to take a look at Google's top tier phone, the Pixel 5, which also does have 5G. You can tell by the box, I have the new sorta sage color, which I'm excited to check out in person. Also, we're gonna take a quick look what comes inside the box, and then of course get some hands-on with the actual phone. Maybe compare it next to the 4a 5G and Pixel 4a. I also quickly wanna touch on how Google got wireless charging in an aluminum back phone. Historically, if a phone had an aluminum back, you were not getting wireless charging. Of course, with power transmission and metal, they don't really go well together. However, you always had to have a glass back or a polycarbonate plastic back to have wireless charging. However, Google was able to find a way to actually get wireless charging and reverse wireless charging to charge other devices through an aluminum back phone. So we'll talk about that and a lot more. Let's get started on the unboxing. The Pixel 5 5G from Google is currently $700 up for pre-order. And yes, I will be doing a lot more video coverage, so make sure you do subscribe so you're notified when those go live. Opening the box, let's take a look what we get. First of all, that sorta sage colored phone. We'll take a close look at that in just a second. Continuing through, as usual, SIM tool, warranty information, getting started guide. Exact same as the 4a 5G, our USB Type-C power adapter, and USB Type-C to USB Type-C charging cable. Last thing in the box, USB Type-C to USB Type-C adapter if you want to transfer some data, etc. Grabbing the Pixel 5, peeling off the plastic. One thing interesting I just want to note right away is that I kind of thought that the sorta sage in the back of the Pixel 5 was gonna have a bit of a texture, because if you look closely, that sorta sage coloring makes it seem like it's texture, but it's not. It's actually fairly smooth on the back. Let's go ahead and boot up the Pixel 5 and take a close look at the hardware on this phone. Down at the bottom, a microphone, USB-C slot for charging, and one of the stereo speakers. Moving along the right side is where the volume rockers and power button are. Volume rockers, that sorta sage color, and interestingly enough, that power button gets kind of a chrome look to it. So that's kind of cool that they decided to accent it, make it look a little bit different. Moving along, actually make note of that camera bump, extremely minimal camera bump from Google, and a microphone up towards the top. On the left side of the phone is just that SIM card slot. On the back, a 12 megapixel wide angle lens and 16 megapixel ultra wide angle lens. So interesting that Google went with ultra wide this year, because they really said they were focusing on telephoto lenses, but now they switched and went with ultra wide. You do have a rear fingerprint scanner and then the Google logo down at the bottom. The front of the device has the punch hole design for the front facing camera, and then up at the top is the earpiece and secondary stereo speaker. Google has decided to stick with the physical fingerprint scanner over the in-display with a rear one, which is very functional a lot of the time. I do get the argument for it being the best placement for a fingerprint scanner. Very simple to add. You can add more if you'd like to. We're going to skip through. You get the choice of dark or light theme. You can customize the time it turns on or off in settings later on. We are now on the home screen of the new Pixel 5 from Google. This is a 6-inch 1080p OLED display. However, one thing that sets this display apart from the 4a and 4a 5G is something what Google calls smooth display. So it has a 90 hertz refresh rate, so it's going to look smoother to your eye. It is set by default out of the box. Unfortunately, I can't go past this screen. Let's grab the 4a 5G and do a little bit of a comparison. Google made a really interesting choice, and the 4a 5G has a 6.2-inch display, which is a little bit larger than the 6-inch display on the Pixel 5. However, of course, definitely nicer having the higher refresh rate. The bezels are also a little bit smaller on the Pixel 5. One quick thing I'm noticing just while using the phone is that the buttons are a little bit more flush with the device on the Pixel 5 than they are on the 4a 5G. They kind of just protrude out just a little bit more on the 4a. Really not that big of a deal, just a bit of a difference that I did notice while holding these two phones. Aside from the size difference, if you look towards the top of the two phones, you'll notice the 4a 5G has a headphone jack, whereas the Pixel 5 does not. Internally, they have the same processor, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 765G processor. A couple other key differences: the Pixel 5 has 8 gigabytes of RAM, whereas the 4a 5G only has 6 gigabytes. And interestingly enough, even though the Pixel 5 is a smaller device, it has a larger battery on the inside. It actually has a 4080 milliamp hour battery on the inside, whereas the Pixel 4a 5G has a 3885 milliamp hour battery. Just interesting, considering generally if the phone's large, you have more space to put a bigger battery. They decided to put a bigger one in the Pixel 5. And like I mentioned earlier, the back of the Pixel 5 is aluminum as opposed to that polycarbonate plastic on the 4a 5G, and it definitely feels a little bit more premium. However, how exactly were they able to get wireless charging and reverse wireless charging built into this phone? Essentially, Google was able to use what they are calling bioresin, which is essentially a very thin plastic, and cut a hole in the aluminum and put a coil there for wireless charging and reverse wireless charging, and then cover it with that bioresin so it can transmit that power and charge itself wirelessly. And no, you cannot feel the hole that they cut whatsoever. It's very flush and smooth and feels like aluminum throughout. Anyways, that is it for now. More videos coming very soon on the Pixel 5. Again, click that subscribe button so you're notified when they go live. I am really liking the sort of sage color. It's different. I also really like that they went with an aluminum back. There's not too many phones using that anymore, of course, because it generally would eliminate that wireless charging option. So cool that in their top tier phone, they included wireless charging and an aluminum back. But anyways, drop a comment. Let me know what you think about the Pixel 5, if you think it's something you're going to pick up or not. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.